So good morning, everyone. I'm Mimi, and I am a compulsive overeater and bulimic, and my abstinence date is 9/29/19. I weigh and measure 3 meals off the gray sheet. I write them down. I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat between meals, no matter what. And abstinence is the most important thing in my life without exception. And thank you so much, Stephanie, for asking me to qualify. This meeting means a lot to me. Um, I know just about every single name, and I've met so many of you. Not everybody, but I've met a whole lot of you in person. And it's just really an honor to be a part of Gray Sheet and be abstinent. So my friend Stacy in program, she likes to do a lot of numbers. So I kind of got into that this morning with my numbers. Um, so I'm 53 years old, and 18 years ago, I started my journey in food fellowships, starting with OA, going to CEA How, and then finally ending up in Gray Sheet. Thank God. And you know, I came into Gray Sheet May 2012. I have just over 4 years. So, what happened in all those other years? Well, the beginning for me, I was unwilling to turn my will and my life over to the care of a higher power. That's just how it was for me. I believed in God. I always have. Came from a very spiritual home, not a religious home, a spiritual home. And but I honestly did not think that God could relieve me of this obsession with food. And I was really moved by the back of our 12-step and 12 tradition book, the questions that it asked. Are you tired of looking for a solution about your weight problem? Are you ready to try something different? Are you ready to have freedom from food and the constant thoughts that have kept you imprisoned? Are you ready to go to any lengths to experience freedom from the phenomenon of craving? So if you would have asked me all those questions when I first came in, I was definitely tired of looking for a solution about my weight problem. Um, was I ready to try something different? Yeah, I was, as long as it conformed to my needs. That was the first problem. And I definitely wanted freedom from food and the constant thoughts. Um, but it took me a while to actually turn my whole life over. And consequently, I had a lot of day ones, a lot, years of day ones. And my only saving grace was that I didn't leave. And I just want to welcome anybody here who is counting days, maybe embarrassed to say it, or you have years and you're feeling new. I just want to welcome everybody, wherever you are on your path in Gray Sheet, because that is what kept me here. That's what kept me here for all these years, even though I don't have a continuous stream of abstinence. Um, so, just a little bit of a background. I grew up in a really loving home, um, and my mom was anorexic, and she struggled with these demons of eating disorders her entire life. Actually, she died with them. And so, of course, that tainted my relationship with food and my body image. And I actually have one memory. I was very young, and I remember watching my mom in the closet getting dressed, and she was pinching at her thighs. And I saw that and thought, this woman is drop dead gorgeous. She's like my super mom, and yet she's seeing a flaw in herself. Wow, what must be wrong with me? And so that's what happened. I just turned it all in on me, and that, and 5 minutes has gone. Thank you so much, Ben. Um, that really just set the tone for my my life with food. I am not blaming my mom, although trust me, my first fourth step in AA was about a 2-inch thick binder, and it was all my mom's fault. Well, thank God I have since come to realize that she did the best she could with the tools that she had. And if she could have done better, my God, I know she would have done better. And I just got chills. So I know that's my mom just confirming that for me. I'm just really present to my feelings today, and I wouldn't be if I were in the food. I did what all of you guys probably have done with food, the craziness, the food obsession. I tried all the diets. Bulimia worked for me for many years, and then I found drugs, and I found amphetamines, and I found crystal meth, and I found drugs that would keep me skinny no matter what. Of course, I paid a price, and the price was I got into a rehab. And from that moment of getting into rehab at 29 years old for drugs and alcohol abuse, I found the 12 steps. I didn't hear about the 12 steps when I was in OA. I was so consumed with my eating disorder. But I heard it when I was there, and all of a sudden, all of my vices were removed. And what was I left with? The food, the food. And so my eating disorder grew crazy out of proportion while I was trying to get clean and sober. And and then that wonderful day when I was at an AA meeting with a friend who is here in this meeting, and I watched her leave every Saturday morning early. And I finally asked her why. And she said, I'm going to a Gray Sheet meeting at the Grove in Los Angeles. And I said, what is that? I thought I've done all the 12-step meetings. And sure enough, this one I hadn't. And I went with her. Um, and I was all in. I was all in, except for what I started this pitch with was that I just was not willing to turn everything over yet. I still thought I could hold on to some of my, really, they were delusions. They were delusions that I could control and manage my eating. I just didn't want to give that up. I was so terrified that if I gave that up, I would gain 200 pounds. And yet you guys told me, stay here. Let us love you until you can love yourself. And my sponsor also said to me at that time, this program will get you in spite of yourself if you just stay. So I just stayed, and I picked up the food, and I called my sponsor, and I picked up the food, and I recommitted, and I did that back and forth for a lot of years until, I don't know. It's like I wish I could say that there was this big spiritual awakening for me, but it was just another day, you guys. It was just another day that I committed my food, and I didn't pick up that day. And then I committed my food the next day, and I didn't pick up that day. And it just kept adding up. So I got 5 years in this program, and then I decided to make an independent food choice, which means I decided there was something that was not on our food program that, there was an exception from Amy, and I drank it. It was actually a drink, and it was a wasted drink, because I threw away my 5 years, but I didn't throw away all that I had learned in my abstinence up until then. And what that has meant for me, I've had a lot of no matter what's. And of course, the biggest one was losing my mom. And I had my weighed and measured meal with me in the hospital. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. It was 5 years ago now. She was taking her last breath, and my sister said, you need to come over here right now, hold her hand. And I said, I have to finish my dinner. Thank you, 5 minutes. And I did. I finished chewing that last raw, and then I went and held my mom's hand and held her through her transition. And I do this program for my own life, but I also do this for my mom who never had a chance with this. And I'm just looking at all these beautiful people on the screen, and we all have this chance at this a miracle of life, free from the food obsession and the compulsion to eat things that are not on Gray Sheet. And I don't know how that happens other than I don't ask why anymore. I just do what is suggested of me. And, when I weigh those weigh to measure meals and I meet my scale, meet my higher power at my scale 3 times a day, that is a constant for me. That is comfort for me. It's better than any food that I ever thought would bring me that satisfaction. I feel more satisfied now with my food than I've ever had in my life. And if you would have told me that when I first came in here, I would never have believed it. But today, I eat my weight in measured meals. They are all number 10s, even when it's eating out of the bags, the dry stuff, because I'm flying overseas. It's still a number 10 because it's abstinent. And I've traveled. I call people who have traveled to countries where I'm going to, and I don't know what the food is like, and they tell me what to eat. I call people who are familiar with traveling, overseas, and they tell me how to set up my meal times. I don't do this alone. And I always thought I had to do life alone. And I have learned since in Gray Sheet and also in my years of AA, someone has always gone through something before me. So when my son, who's going to be 20 next month, when he was 12, we found vodka in a water bottle in the back of his underwear drawer. And I thought, you know what? Food sounds really, really good right now. I did not know what to do, and I was terrified. So I went to people in program who have had that same experience, because there always has been someone that I could find that has had a similar, if not identical, experience. And then I say, tell me what to do. And I learned that tell me what to do from my sponsors in this program when, it's not okay for me to make an independent food choice today. Trust me, I've done enough of those to last me a lifetime. Now it's just I want to just like be a newcomer, really, every day. Just tell me what to do. And it's such a freedom for me. This food plan is such a freedom for me. I do not think about, well, okay, I take that back. I do think about what my next meal is going to be because I'm so excited. And I get really, really turned on by my food. And I know I can only say that here, but I'm grateful because I've been in other food fellowships where that's not okay. You're not supposed to like your food. And we get to eat the biggest and the best here. We get to eat the greasiest and the heaviest and anything in between. And I've been sick on Gray Sheet. I've not wanted to eat my food sometimes on Gray Sheet. I still just eat my food. And I have a relationship with my higher power today that is nothing like the one that I had as a child. It's this all encompassing, loving power of this universe that wants only to be my biggest cheerleader. And I think that's all I ever wanted. I just want to know that I'm loved, I'm seen, and I'm heard. And I get that here. I get that here in Gray Sheet. And I'm just very, very grateful to be a part of this program and to be in the middle of the herd. So many of you are way ahead of me on this journey, and I know that's my time. and then there are people behind me. So I feel real safe right here in the middle. And I'm just really grateful to be here. Thank you so much for letting me share.